special meeting, a workshop meeting of September 4th. Our second item on the agenda is the discussion of our 2019 draft budget. Leroy? Yes, I'll turn it over to you.
I want to give credit to the city department heads that put together their budgets for their department to submit to Kim and I for review, and then they're involved in the process as we refine those numbers as we go through the various steps in development, and their input is critical to developing the budget. And then especially thanks to Kim Biggs, our city clerk, finance director, who actually puts the numbers together for all of us to review. So again, thanks, Kim. General fund, I did print out some of the, and I'm gonna go through the summary sheets themselves, and then if you have detailed questions on things, we can deal with detailed questions. But I printed out some of the summary sheets. If someone does not have the summary sheet pulled up of the budget. And I got it at both the general fund, the fire EMS fund, and the public works authority fund if you don't need it. The general fund, the FY19 budget, the expenditures are roughly 9% more than the FY 2019 budget. And remember, we had a 10% growth in sales tax. And most of the increase is personnel, and I'll go through that in more detail at the end of my presentation. We did, as we talked about when we looked at the wastewater treatment plant the last 3 or 4 years, we had transferred $350,000 from the Public Works Authority to the general fund. In this budget, we are reducing that from $350,000 to $200,000. And we will be taking that $150,000 that we're not transferring to the general fund and transfer it to the wastewater treatment plant fund to start designating money in that fund. The expenditures do exceed revenue by $128,000, so we will be spending some of our beginning balance. And the reason we did that is we feel they're one-time expenditures of the fund balance to transfer to the fire department EMS. There is a November election to create some more EMS districts, and we're fairly confident those will pass if they want to continue to receive ambulance service. And those ambulance districts we're projecting will generate between $100,000 to $120,000. So if those are passed, then we shouldn't have to do that.
Get offset stuff.
Correct. Our beginning balance, the general fund has been going the right direction. We ended FY 2017, or begin 17, with $473,000. We began FY 18 with $679,000, and we believe that we're estimating FY 19, the beginning balance is $1,105,000. So our beginning balance is going in the right direction. So if we use 128 of that for this budget, we still have substantially more beginning balance we've had the last few years. Fire department EMS, of course, we zero that budget out each year. Adding back some manpower that we had taken away from the fire department, their budget will grow 13% this year as compared to the FY 18 budget. The Public Works Authority, in addition to the $150,000 that we did not transfer to the general fund, we are taking an additional $150,000, $300,000 total, and putting it into the wastewater treatment plant fund. And then, of course, once we get this budget over and finish up the work that you all did to retreat on the CIP, then that 4 million each year will transfer that amount. And so that will be some additional money that in this budget year will be set aside for the wastewater treatment plant. The GPWA budget is about 6.5% more than the FY18 budget. We did create a floor for entry wage in this budget. All of the, if adopted, every position for this city, the minimum will be $10. It will be the floor. So if you work for this city, you'll at least make $10 an hour. In 2017 mid-year budget, we eliminated 11 positions in the middle of 2017 because of our financial resources. The FY 2019 budget restores 10 of those positions, maybe not exactly where they were, but pretty much. Not all of them will be filled immediately. But as we monitor revenue and cash flow, we would fill those positions. And I've got a chart to go over to show you what positions we put back. And this budget has the merit increases for all the employees, but does not have any cost of living adjustment to it. Take one and hand it.
So can you, real quickly, you mentioned $10 an hour is the minimum that the city would be paying?
Yes.
That's good.
When you get this sheet, what I tried to do is put a yellow line across where we added positions. Planning and code enforcement, we added a position there. In 2017, when we did the mid-year budget, we eliminated the code enforcement position and combined it with the animal control function. That overtaxed them. So what we did was we had 2.5 positions of animal control. We took that half-time position and combined it with other funds and moved that to the planning and code enforcement. We now have 2 people that one is working building inspections, and I think he has one more commercial license, and he will have all of his licenses passed to be fully certified. And then we have a second one, Mr. Darby, who is concentrating on code enforcement, but is in the process. He's passed 2 of his residential, if I remember right. So we'd have 2 more residential exams and then 4 commercial, and then he would be fully certified. The ideal is we'll have 2 people that are interchangeable in case one's on vacation, or if depending on workload, they can both work in the area if they need to. And we think that's going to be a better setup for us in the future. Library, we took a part-time position and made it full-time. Streets, parks, and fleet maintenance, we added back a position in each of those areas, and we had deleted or eliminated positions in those 3 departments when we did the mid-year budget adjustment FY17.
And these are all full-time positions that we're talking about,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Wastewater, we had one retire in 17 that we did not replace because of our budget situation. It's in to replace that one. And then police, we're adding 1 back, and the fire EMS, this budget would add all 3 of the positions that we had through attrition eliminated or put on hold in the fire department. So again, we've added in this budget 10 full-time positions. Some of them completely new, some of them we took half-time positions or part-time and made them full-time. So we're kind of back to ground zero where we were in the beginning of 2017 as far as manpower. And I think our departments have done a yeoman's job of doing the task with more limited manpower, with sometimes running with skeleton crews. They continue to provide ambulance service in a district that is a very large district that puts a lot of demands on our staff. We have mowed, we've maintained streets, done law enforcement, special events. So I think our staff has really raised to the challenge to do what we could do and accomplish what we did in the last 12 months with that reduction in force. And we can't continue to run with limited crews forever. And with the sales tax being up 10%, we want to start moving back to putting those positions back in place. As I indicated, throughout the year, we will monitor revenue and cash flow, and we will bring them on gradually throughout the year. We may not bring all 10 right away in October. That's kind of a general overview of the budget. Kim will answer all the questions you have, or she'll whisper it in my ear.
Questions from anybody? Any in the council? Wow.
Looks like you won't put it together. I mean, and seems, and all the departments are satisfied with what we have and what we have to deal with and what we, obviously we're gaining some other.
We, each department, the process we go through, of course, each department puts their own budget together, and then we do the revenue forecast. Kim and I do that, and then we compare the two, and of course we have to adjust because we always want more than, or need more. It's not really want, in our case we actually need more.
No, it's understandable that we can only do so much.
Then we go back to the departments and we go through the revenue forecast with them and let the department head participate in any adjustments to their budget. So I think, given the revenue that we have, I think the departments are pleased with the outcome of their budgets.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, as long as everybody is satisfied. Obviously, we can always use more, and everything keeps going up in cost. The city keeps getting bigger, we have more things that need to be taken care of.
And I think as we made adjustments, we tried to be, one, use common sense to make those adjustments, and number two, to be fair, that we didn't overly burden one department with adjustments and not others. Everybody shared in the adjustments that we had to make.
I mean, it looks like everybody's done a really great job. Looks good to me.
Kim, a couple questions on the fire EMS fund, where it gets broken down a little bit more specifically. We are looking at an increase in the EMS contract. Is that because of the redistrict? Is that because of the coverage on the? I don't have a page number here.
You're talking about
page 3. What?
The assessed value
Yeah.
goes up each year,
Yeah.
so that is just based on the assessed value.
Just the assessed value of-
That is not projecting the new EMS districts, because that doesn't happen until November. So that revenue is not included in our budget,
Okay.
but we are estimating next year in the 20 budget, we should start seeing that, and it will be $100,000 to $120,000 of additional revenue if it passes.
So that's significant.
Correct.
But then we don't
Very
have to
significant.
cover all that ground either, by the same token, right? That we're covering today.
No, we'll still,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
it's the
cover
same
it.
area.
We'll actually
We
be-
want the
we'll be assessed
120,000
size
for that
with
entire area.
Because I thought we were way more than 120,000 in the hole covering that.
It is difficult to determine what the cost of providing ambulance service is, because ambulance service and the fire service are kind of wrapped together, so
Right.
trying to separate it is difficult. The 10% increase in our sales tax, of course, helped. And then, of course, the EMS district for the school district, the value in that EMS district of land values and property values allowed that 3 mills to generate more money. In addition, next year we hope on Medicaid reimbursement, if the state follows through with all their paperwork, our reimbursement should go up about $125,000. Is that correct, Eric?
That's roughly what they're estimating.
So that would get us closer to the 300K or
Yeah,
whatever.
that'll give us another, that
Correct.
brings more of a quarter mil, that'll help.
Correct.
But is that what we're in the hole annually on that deal? That's a
We're
lot
way
more than
more
that.
in the hole, just in general. The biggest problem is constitutionally, the ad valorem is capped at 3 mills, and that's not enough to run an ambulance service.
So are we gonna be going like out to the new school and all that area?
So we already do that, we already covered that.
I thought we did.
Yes.
So the vote is just to get 128,000
Yeah, that's just-
infused so we can keep doing it, is my
The
understanding.
vote is
Right.
for basically the southeast corner of the county, basically the Luther, Wellston, Coyle,
Right.
Walhall, Orlando, and some other districts like that that don't currently pay the property tax for EMS.
It's kind of a misnomer because we transfer from the general fund to the fire department. Not many fire departments are standalone departments, so you wouldn't even notice that. But we transfer just, this year it's $1.5 million, almost 1.6 million transferred into the fire department. But fire departments do not generate the money to be a enterprise fund where they break even with their charges.
Or hopefully.
Other questions or comments? Well, I think as we were facing a challenging year last year, and the departments and leadership did an outstanding job of keeping the level of service at a very high level, even though the number of people were lost, some positions weren't filled, and now obviously the budget looks a little bit better, and so it's positive that the departments are gaining some of that back, and I suspect that that even though we're at a high level of service right now, it could even go higher because we've got more people and a few more dollars. So, unfortunately, when we're funded primarily by a sales tax, it's a challenge with that wave action that sales tax sometimes has.
And you're absolutely correct.
That's where our new economic
It doesn't take much
development
to
director
change.
comes in to bring in more of that.
Yeah.
Any other comments by the council?
I think that's good.
No, I think it looks like.
You all did great, really, really,
You did a
it
great
looks
job.
really good. It's amazing what you got to work with.
Any comments by the department heads?
From the crowd.
Yeah. Is it-
I do, if you are through.
Yeah.
That way I won't be there at 7 o'clock, either now or 7, whichever.
Public forums at 7. But you can tell us what your questions are.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have it both ways.
Follow your rules, whatever you want.
Is there any problem with having it at the?
Workshop. Public.
This really, it is a public forum, as it always is.
It's public meetings, discussion of the budget draft, as long as it's on the budget, that's.
Is that what it's about?
Is it on budget? Well, then it's perfectly.
Okay, Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure, I went to the workshop the other day, but I wasn't sure, has the council already voted to build an industrial park?
How does that correlate with the budget that we're talking about?
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, this new sales tax penny, will it be in this year's budget?
All right.
Any expenditures?
It
I thought I was seeing
There's
some, that's what I'm asking.
There's nothing specific in there. There's not a line item in there.
About buying land and then building a.
Not a line item.
Okay, okay.
And that would come out of the CIP fund, which is a different budget, and we are working on the details of that after we finish the general budget.
And that's the same as the fourth penny sales tax?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I have an article about what we were gonna get with our penny. And Bruce Johnson had 2 or 3 meetings on what we would get if we voted yes. Now, did anybody on the council go to those meetings?
Yeah, I'm fully aware what they are, yeah.
Well did.
Okay.
We all did.
And we handed out a spreadsheet showing all of those articles and all the different plans at the workshop that we just had.
But what is, go ahead.
Well, there's
Yeah,
no
point.
industrial park on here.
Do what?
And I think
Well, economic development was one of the high priorities that Bruce, the city council at this time, the city council right now, economic development is a high priority.
well, Kim had the list. I mean, I remember for some reason there's 879 people that voted. And the city manager said, you tell us how you want this money to be spent. And I know he spent a lot of time talking about baseball fields, because didn't he play baseball in college? You all need to have youth
I don't know, but
baseball fields.
youth sports complex was also, youth activities was, I think, the number 3 item of those 871 voters.
I was thinking it was number 1, but anyway.
Well, okay.
And then he talked about the wastewater treatment.
Actually, police and fire were in the top.
Yeah.
I
top
think
10.
streets was number 1.
Yeah.
Streets is number
But I
one,
may
if
be
I
wrong.
remember
Right,
correctly.
right. And that's what
Industrial,
all of
economic
those are
development
mentioned
number
here.
2.
Since we don't have the sheet that you do.
Well, and the girl from the newspaper, she said she was gonna bring it, because do you know what I'm talking about?
Talking about
The
Emily?
survey results,
Uh-huh, survey results?
which they all have a copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
What we talked about in the workshop, you were there, I
Well,
think.
we're getting a little bit off track here. Would you bring us back to how this, what your question is that involves the,
Well, if you-
the budget, the draft budget?
yeah, if you're not gonna spend money on an industrial park in this fiscal year, that takes care of it, because I never heard that. But I never heard that, I mean.
Well, even if we do, it doesn't come out of the administrative budget. It comes out of CIP, which is a different
Yeah,
animal.
but that's what, well, when do we talk about that? That's
Well,
what-
we're not talking about that tonight. This is the administrative budget to run the town
Okay,
tonight.
so
That's what this is.
And you were there
But I
when we talked a little
mean,
bit
as far
about
as
it.
economic development goes, you're sitting right next to our new,
I
and I
know,
mean,
I
so.
know,
we
I
don't-
know.
Yeah, she's
We're-
right there.
we're
We haven't
actually-
met her yet.
Yeah, we haven't, but
Well, I
we
have, she
know.
went to Texas Tech.
But here's the
She went
thing, we
to
are
football
moving
games.
ahead with economic development. I mean, things are, and how government works, it tends to work slowly.
So we
but
need to
it's-
talk to her then.
Well, Carol, you know as well as I know, we have to develop to grow.
Well, okay, I'll talk to her, but do you know that there's 250 homes being built on Center Road and Forest Hills? 250 homes. They're like $250,000 homes. And you know what that brings into Guthrie? If we just let them know, you've got good food, you got shops in Guthrie, that's certainly a cheap way to make money, isn't it? That's what I'm
Well,
wondering.
that-
Do
that-
we
that-
explore
that's
all
the-
the cheap ways to make money?
That's why we have our new girl.
I know, so that's what I'm trying to find out, yeah. And then also if she wants to talk to builders, here we have this builder that, it's unbelievable. I think any house that's built would bring in $5,000 in sales tax. And also the $1,200 for your meter, and then plus all the, sorry. Right. I mean, it brings in a lot of money without spending a lot of money. I just hope that we can go through that, like what really is a good way to make money. So I'd like to go to some more of those meetings.
Well, I think you just have to come to every council and
Yeah,
workshop.
that's what I
Or
That's
what you
I
can do is just go pull up cityguthrie.com every Friday before and read it, and if it's in there, we're gonna go through it.
Yeah, and what about?
Like, part of one thing that I'm gonna be going through is ease of builders coming into the marketplace at
Right,
one
I
point.
knew- I
But
knew
that has
that.
nothing to do with the budget.
Okay, but I knew you all were in favor of roofs, so I was shocked to see that many beautiful homes, and the guy had already built some on Waterloo Road. I mean, they're really pricey. I mean, you'll be able to get a lot of.
The ones on the north side soon, of Waterloo.
Have you seen, no. Well, I mean, the new subdivision is on Sooner. And then go down to Forest, right before you hit Forest Hills, and I forgot the name of the subdivision, but it's it's unbelievable. My son from Dallas said, this is unbelievable that you have this.
Well, that's the beauty of having a full-time economic developer and a full-time planner,
That's
is that we can now
Right. Let
look
them
at all
know.
those different avenues.
Okay.
The city and the council is very interested in rooftops, because that generates other things.
Well, how many have you built in the last 10 years?
Well, that's up for another discussion, but there are other discussions that go deeper into that, Carol.
Okay.
I mean, there's things about building within the city limits and then building out in the county.
Yeah.
The reason they're building out in the county is because, well,
No. City-
No, the
city
restrictions
bylaws
are
different, right?
there's,
No,
exactly.
no code.
No codes, no nothing. They do whatever they want.
Yep, and they let them do it too.
And then you come into the city limits, and now we have code enforcement and a lot of other things that tend to, it'll happen, but it's still, that's where they are.
But we're gonna try, like Rebecca said, if a developer said, where can I build? Right now, we don't know, but she's gonna identify those, I
You
think.
might be careful you don't poke our new.
So getting back to the budget
Yeah.
draft, what questions do you have specific to the budget draft
Yeah.
on your sheet?
I think hers are more related to CIP
Yeah,
versus
they are.
general
You were at
administrative.
you were at the retreat. You listened to
No.
the dialogue about and the strategy for prioritization of the CIP.
I think
So
I
that
left-
was.
No, I left that.
Oh, you
that
left
point, yeah.
before that. That's too bad.
Well,
But you
because
can,
I was shocked
you can
because
follow
your
it.
facilitator said, how do you want to spend your 15 million? I'm going, I thought it was the people's 15 million.
We're gonna put another whole deal out on that.
Okay, that's
Okay?
right.
We've already
I couldn't
been
say.
through all this.
Good, that's what, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
catch up.
So what do you have on the budget then?
No. I'm
Okay,
good.
nothing. I'm good?
Yep, we're good.
Good, good. Anybody else have any other last minute thoughts? Well, again, congratulations on putting together, I think, a very workable budget for our community and our citizens, and restoring some of the things that had to be limited last year because resources aren't there. Recognizing that we never have as much money as we would like to have, but I think we are making some very, very positive steps forward. And I think the results will have already shown it, and will continue to show it. So congratulations to the leadership and to the department heads, and to the employees.
Thank you.
Job well
Yeah,
done.
thank you, guys.
Job well done.
Really.
With that,